Good morning, all. This is Aiman here, signing into ZBrush Live. Give me a sec as I just test everything out, make sure you guys can all hear me, everything's going well. Let's see here. Let's check out the Twitch stream. Meanwhile, I can pull up the Facebook stream as well. Bam. Alright, so you might hear double audio for a second as I just make sure I can hear myself. Cool, that's working. Volume's a bit low. There you go. Alright, and then on Facebook. Alright, so great, I can hear myself there too. Alright. Alright, everyone. Alright, guys, so I am getting online, and I'll be on the Twitch and Facebook chat as well. So if you have any questions, just drop them on in there. So, I guess where do we start? Let me do a basic primer. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Aiman. Thanks for joining for the first time. A 3D generalist working in Los Angeles, and I've been doing a lot of 3D printing over the past 4 years. Lots of large-scale projects, small-scale projects. My previous gig that I just wrapped was making miniatures at Sky Castle Studios, 3D printing for tabletop games like Dungeons and Dragons. Now I'm working primarily on my own project, which is my Fungosaurs. It's an IP, an original IP that my wife and I, Fa, have been working on. These little dinosaur mushroom hybrids. I designed these characters and sculpted them in ZBrush, and then now we had them 3D printed and prototyped, and we actually mass-produced toys. So if you're interested, you can follow that at fungosaurs.com. You can see more of my work at aiman3d.com. All sorts of 3D print and sculpture related stuff in there. You can see the prototypes for the original Fungosaurs. And this was kind of a big weekend because last year around this time was DesignerCon 2017, and I did a Kickstarter with my wife. We basically launched this idea to the world. It was successfully funded, and now this year, a full year later, at DesignerCon 2018, we did our toy launch. So this was over this weekend. So this photo we took yesterday of our table putting out the toys for sale, the mystery box toys, and demonstrating the augmented reality app for the first time. Let's see, got some more photos in this thing. There's our booth. We lucked out and got a really nice space and had vendors on either side with this kind of, I think it's called a grid wall, and so we could just bum on their grid wall. Let's see here. It was the whole Jurassic Park art exhibition, so that was really cool. We were like really close to it, so it was good to be next to dino stuff. Pizza Planet truck. There's so much good stuff that happened. I didn't really take photos of everything. Right across from the Ugly Dolls booth. That's our setup right there. So, in any case, if you want to keep following what I do, you can see that on Instagram at Akhtar3D. So I post a bunch of stuff here. And Fungosaurs you can follow at instagram.com/fungosaurs. There's the little creatures. Hold on a second, I'm going to chug some cough syrup. Make sure I can talk through, because this weekend was a lot of talking. So like I said, this weekend we launched the toys at DesignerCon. We kind of did a build up to it where we started our Kickstarter fulfillment after receiving the toys from the factory a few weeks back. Pretty cool to do mass production as an independent artist. I'd recommend more people try it for sure. ZBrush artists in particular. I met a few ZBrush artists that follow the stream, so thanks for showing up. So building up to DCon, because we're building up to a toy launch, you have to do some marketing. So we did like post 5 days to DCon, 4 days, 3, 2. That's my niece Adina. And then tomorrow, well, that was 3 days ago. And then we just launched. We had the toys at our booth. We were demonstrating the latest version of the app. And then just talking to everyone that came by. And it was so great to see so many fans, so many backers of the Kickstarter came to our table we could fulfill right there. And then also just all my friends in LA. So many of you showed up. So thanks, guys. And fans. The fans are awesome. My fans are the best. We sold so many boxes. We sold enough to cover the cost of the expo on day one. So it was just bonus. Yesterday was just a bonus of meeting people and running around all day. So pretty successful DesignerCon. Happy with that. Where to go next now? We're going to try to launch the Fungusaur's retail online store. Keep working on the app. Try to get some funding and build this into a thing. So fingers crossed and, you know, see how it goes. Today on my stream, I got some questions already. Nigel Gear, are they printed in sandstone for the color? So I did the printing on my Formlabs Form 2, which you can see a bit behind me right there. Blow this up for a second. Sorry for the mess. I've got a bunch of prints and new materials, so I just stacked them on top of my raise there. The Formlabs Form 2 is what I did all the prototyping for my Fungusaurs on. It was a solid, really clean printer with SLA, like a resin-based printer, so you can get really clean prints. And that was what I needed for the prototyping. And then the toys were mass-produced, so we actually did the tooling and injection molding. Nigel. All right. Any questions on Facebook? Let's see here. People saying hi. What's up, guys? Thumbs up, Xander. Cool, cool. All right. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, just drop them in there. Today for the ZBrush stream, and to give you an idea of what I've been doing, you can just Google ZBrush Live, and the first thing you see is this ZBrush Official, and you can go to Presenters. Oh, I'm showing you things you can't see. Alright, ZBrush Live, if you Google that, the first thing you see over here is the official. Click on the Presenters. And you can see all these awesome artists that stream with ZBrush. Happy to be among them. You can check out my past broadcasts and schedules. So if you scroll down here, you can see a lot of what I've been working on is one project. Ryan Winch is a friend and concept artist of mine for Fungusaurs. I'm doing a little work trade with him, so I'm going to sculpt a character of his, a Logan from his Space Pilgrim series. And we've been sculpting him now, I don't know, maybe like 8 or so sessions. So we're up to probably like 10 to 12 hours on work on this character. And I just want to keep working on him, and now I can actually start wrapping him up. So last week, let's see, this actually might be, yeah. So last week we worked on setting up a new base and working on creating insert mesh brushes for the stones and rocks and just populating the base with rocks. Still have to do a bit more of that. And then I demonstrated a bit of my hair technique as well. So basically sculpting in spirals, trying to find those base shapes, and then using Dylan Ekren's awesome brush, IMM brush, to add strands of hair. So I'm still going to be working on that, but today we might bounce around and do something different on that project. The good thing about doing a whole post character is there's so many different things I can show you. All with the lens of printing, not printing, basically sculpting for 3D print or sculpting for something becoming a physical object. You know, 8 sessions. We'll start a 9th session on them. So I haven't really gotten a chance to work on this project aside from the streams. So that's why it's been slow progress. Yep. ZBrush crashed already. It's alright. Recover pretty quick. I think because I had it open before I restarted. Let's launch it again. Pull this up on the side so I can see your questions. Kim Brissebois is asking if I did the mold process myself for the final toys. No, Kim, these were all made in a factory. We found a factory that specialized in making dinosaurs, and we did full-on tooling, injection molding with PVC plastic on a mass production scale, like 2,000 toys each. So we've got something like 16,000 toys in our warehouse now. There's no way I could do that by myself. See, I can show you some photos if you're interested. Alright, go back to Ryan's project. Polygon, thanks for joining. Yep, you do know it's going to be a good day when ZBrush crashes on launch. Absolutely. I've been tuning into your streams here and there, man. Doing good. Alright, so here you can see this is basically where we left off with the base. Started adding those insert mesh rocks in there. Didn't finish this up because didn't have time to finish in the stream, and then I closed ZBrush without saving the insert mesh brush. So I'll have to recreate the insert mesh brush from some of these pieces and then finish off the base. So that's on the docket, the agenda, so to speak. See, let's turn everything on. Got some dupe pieces in here, so you can turn those off. There's our character up till this point. Lots of little tweaks to do still. 10 hours really, you can't really do much on a full complete posed character. But I'm happy with the progress we've made. Overall, like a lot of general stuff has been done. And then a lot of random stuff have been moved around. Like this tube is supposed to be going in there. Now you know what? This might be the wrong backpack I'm looking at. Let's find the right backpack. That's not it. There it is. That's the correct backpack. So we can toss the other ones. Gotta keep a clean scene. That's rule number 1 of sculpting in ZBrush. Keep a clean scene. Can't wait for the new ZBrush with folders to drop so I can organize all of my subtools. Alright, so let's pull up the concept so you guys can see what there is still to do on this guy. And then let's pick a topic and then jump into sculpting. You can also play some music. See here. Music's not playing. Not sure why. Speakers are set properly. It was playing earlier. Let's try this one. Nope, no music playing. Interesting. Give me a second, guys. I'm going to troubleshoot this sound issue. Should be playing through my speakers alright. No, it's fine. It's just a connection. The connection is a bit loose, looks like. I need to get new speakers. Connection is very tenuous. Cool. Mousy Jani, hi from Thailand. What's up? Thanks for joining. Okay, I got another question. Nigel Gear here. Let's see. I can get an explanation on how the AR app works for the developers and the cost of making that type of app. It's really interesting making a card code to use AR. Yeah, for sure. I'll be happy to talk about the AR app. Polygon's also asking, when are you going to sculpt the new Gajra wallpaper for yourself? Yeah, it's been my wallpaper for a few months now because I'm just really excited about that movie. And I did see some really cool Godzilla sculpts at DesignerCon this past weekend, so I definitely am thinking about sculpting one of these guys for myself soon. Maybe that'll be the next project as soon as I wrap Ryan's. Something fun. Make a little Godzilla for myself. Alright, so the other question was Nigel wanted to know about the app. So, let's see here. On my Fungusaur's Instagram, I post a good bit of stuff regularly about the app development. So if you scroll down a bit on there, you should be able to find some videos. Basically, it involves modeling, texturing, rigging, and animating. Modeling done in ZBrush, all the topology, and then moving forward, the UVs, texturing, everything done in Maya and Photoshop, and then rigging in Maya, animating in Maya. So that's basically stuff. You know, being a generalist in 3D, I could do a bunch of things and bounce all over. And then you get friends to help you with the things you don't know how to do. So I hired my friend Sean, who's a great animator, to help me animate Bracco. And then another friend of mine, Zach, who I've worked at a previous company, he's helping me do some programming in Unity. So that's how we're setting all these guys up to be in the app. And it's an augmented reality app. So it drops the character into the environment and tries to do the shadows based on what it sees. It does actually a pretty good job of it. And trying to keep it low poly enough to where you could actually play and do a lot of fun things. And building it slowly. You know, we're working on the UI bit by bit. Faz designing all the UI. And let's see. Oh yeah, I should mention, we're beta testing the app now. The second beta for the app is going to launch this week. So if you guys are interested in helping me beta test the app, if you are on iPhone, because we're only developing for iOS right now, and we'll port over to Android later, just go to fungusaurs.com, and you can sign up. Here it is. You can sign up for the email updates right there. And then we'll send you an invite to the beta link if you guys are interested. Alright. So, let me pull up some reference. So this is Ryan's illustration for Logan, age 14, what he's thinking. I think he sent me some notes at some point. There's another character of his, Quark. I'm going to add that into the scene, hopefully with some fun base. Actually, that might be fun to work on right now. Add the secondary character to the scene. Just kind of complete the whole picture and then be able to work holistically backwards. So I'll bring him into the scene too. That'll be fun first. I don't know if this will be something where the two will be interacting, but it might be fun to pretend they are. We'll load up the tool, Quark. That's the name of his little sidekick. Little robot drone sidekick. This was modeled by another artist, and I'm basically just gonna prep it for 3D print. So this is how it was modeled, and these are the kinds of things you have to do for prepping for 3D printed ZBrush. you've got to close these holes. Any ledges and unnecessary gaps, those need to be filled. So that's kind of what I was doing when I first got this model. Just filling in those gaps. And you can double check by actually hiding parts of the model and then seeing what's going on the inside. So there's still this whole bit of like happening inside, which I don't want. So I can come in here with my inflate brush selected and then just fill that in. And that should help close those gaps. Inflate over here too. It's like separate over there, so that's good. Yeah, once I Dynamesh now, we should lose all this inside detail. Let's try again. Go to Geometry, Dynamesh. Let's check again. See, there you go. Once you close in some of these gaps by inflating, you just lose that inside detail, which helps because now I don't need to worry about some weird stuff happening on the inside for print. I can just come in and clean this up. I'm just going to come in and smooth this area, clean it up a bit. Dynamesh as I go. And my favorite brush, Move. I've talked to a lot of ZBrush artists and their favorite brush is just Move. That's kind of really the whole point of sculpting in ZBrush, is the ability to just push and pull like actual clay. I can't wait till we can do a VR ZBrush with like haptic gloves and such. Just really feel the sculpting as you do it. Come in and smooth some of these ledges. Just clean it up a bit. That's how I prep a model for print. I check out what's going on and then I break it down slowly. Other stuff I like to do when I'm prepping a model for print is, see these lines right here? They're so minimal. Like these just won't show up in print. So if you want them to show up, you have to exaggerate them. Even these ledges. So it's okay to come in with like damn standard and then maybe increase your lazy mouse radius and just make these crevices a bit more obvious. And we need a little bit more lazy mouse. Lazy mouse just helps to make things a lot straighter. Well, try to get that to be a bit more clean. Cool. Now I'm not liking that end. Coming a bit closer. There. Much cleaner. Continue that on this end. So the name of the game in 3D printing, especially depending on the scale you're sculpting, you have to really enhance the details. I always tell my students to sculpt like it's miniature scale all the time. Miniature scale being something like 28 millimeters. Or, I guess for those of you that aren't familiar with millimeters, like basically a little over an inch. Between an inch to 2-inch height. I'm doing this a bit roughly and just smoothing it over and making these quite a bit thicker so that they'll read when they print. This is going to print pretty small, maybe like this big. There we go. That's looking much better already. Alright, I want to check this crevice happening on the inside of this head. Make sure that looks printable. And the way to do that is to just use my select rectangle, hide a bit. So this basically is a floating piece. So this is not connected to anything else. Another way to double check that is to check the poly frames and do something simple. You can press Ctrl W to unify the poly group. That just means group all. Not poly paint, poly group. Let's see. In the tool menu on the right hand side, if you dock it there, you can click on group visible. That's what Ctrl W does. Or you can click on auto groups, and this is a good check. If you click on auto groups and something becomes a different color, that means it's not connected to anything else. That's a problem for 3D printing. So let's select this piece. And I'll come in here, make sure my perspective mode is off, and I'll drag a mask to select this end here. Just that part. Control tap to smooth out the end of that mask. Then I can select my move, and then just move that back. And what this will do is now it'll connect it and bury it into the mesh above. So even though I don't really see anything happening from the outside, it looks the same. On the inside now, after I Dynamesh and do auto groups again, it shouldn't be its own group anymore. Let's test it. See, there you go. All unified now. One group. And if I hide it, now it's merged. So these are the kinds of checks you need to do for 3D printing. I'm not too worried about this ledge being a bit like extreme. It is a bit extreme because, you know, depending on the scale you print and the orientation, you might need to add supports in here. But I'm not too worried about that. I do like the way it looks from the outside, and I'm likely going to print this at an orientation looking a bit vertically. That way there won't be any issue with the gap. It'll just kind of print perfectly. Let's see. These hands, these little tiny hands that he's got, the drone, these might be a bit too thin to print, or if they do print, they'll probably break. So these are some design changes sometimes you have to make when you're considering 3D print. Depending on the scale, I might make these hands a bit larger. So let's select them by just masking. Switch to my mask lasso. Then just unselect. Alright, there we go. So basically I've only masked off just these little tiny arm nubs. Control tapping at the end to smooth the mask. And then I'm going to go to Subtool. Nope, I'm going to go to Deformation in the tool palette still. And I'm going to inflate. Now just in case, because deformation can be a bit finicky and crashy, I'm going to save this as Quark 2. And let's inflate. Now, I don't want to inflate them that much, but maybe let's try something like that. So we went basically from there to there, just thickening this part. Now to be proportional, because these ear kind of things are supposed to be thicker, I'll go ahead and make those a bit thicker as well. They're thicker than the arms in any case. Might move this in a bit as well. Center it. Now let's do the same thing with these ears. Mask them off. And unmask the edges. Control tap on it to smooth out that mask. Control tap on the outside to invert the mask. And let's run a deformation, inflate again. And once again, I'll probably just bury it a bit, so those lines will be a bit cleaner. And dynameshing should smooth out that edge. Now we can come in and just tap smooth there. There we go. That's ready. Do the same thing at the bottom with the arms. Just tap smooth a bit. And now that should be print ready as well. So now this model is almost completely print ready. May want to decimate it a bit, clean up a bit more. Just tighten it up basically. Feeling slightly lumpy. But at the scale we're working, that won't really matter. You won't see any of it once it's actually printed. You want to come in and refine some of these edges though. Make it feel a bit more mechanical. You can switch to the pinch brush as well. Now I'm doing all of this through keyboard shortcuts, because I've set up shortcuts for most of my keys, or most of the brushes that I use on a reg. Just doing some pinching, coming in with damp standard again. Excited to have a bit more time to work on my own IP now, and all sorts of fun projects. So you guys will be seeing a lot of fun stuff on my ZBrush streams now, because I'll be switching it up and doing a lot of projects for print. So we'll try to do a print. Let's see if I can pull this off, but I'll try to do a print every week with these new projects. See how long that lasts. As long as I have material, I could do that. Formlabs was gracious enough to send me some material. Hopefully I can become a brand ambassador for them a bit. I'll show you guys how to do a bunch of different stuff. For those of you that are interested in learning a lot of ZBrush and a lot of 3D print related stuff, I can recommend my class that's live right now on Mold 3D Academy. So if you go to the all classes, it's under self-paced right now, 3D printing for ZBrush artists. So for 200 bucks, you get 8 lectures, all about an hour or two, and then just a ton of different assignments. So I cover 3D printing, keys and slicing and articulation, fashion and wearables, jewelry and miniatures, even how to photograph and present your prints. I'm working on the update for this class. That's why it's so cheap right now. So it might be a good deal to jump on. I'll drop that in the chats if you guys are interested. Polygon had to run. Cool. Thanks for joining, homie. Let's see. CLYMM Klim is asking, do you have your own 3D printer? Yep, you can see kind of behind me in this little mini chat, I've got my 2 of them. I've got the Formlabs Form 2 for stereolithography and resin, high-res printing, and then the Raise 3D N2 Plus for FDM, slightly lower resolution printing, but printing larger. You can see that big guy up top. Alright, cool. Back on it. It's gonna fix some of this lumpiness, and then we'll start making the base for this guy. What I'm doing right now is just checking this from different angles. That way I can check how the light bounces off this material and then make adjustments. And then you can Dynamesh as well. Clean up as you go. I'm just tapping smooth a lot. Alright, looking good. Cool. Alright, so Quark now is ready to start prepping. And in order to prep this to print, I could do a couple of things. I could print it as is, or I could hollow it out a bit. And that would just save on material cost. I could hollow through one of these edges, and that might be the best move, because then I could set up a little jet stream, you know, and then have that key into where it's hollowed. So let me show you guys how to hollow a print in ZBrush. I'll duplicate this model. I'll switch over to something like my insert primitives, a cylinder, and see, I could hollow from both ends, so let's try that at the same time. You could draw a cylinder out, and what this will do is it basically adds it on like an addition. You can control the depth and how this draws with the depth slider here. My screen's blocking it for you guys a bit, so I'll show you, move it aside. This is the depth slider I've got set up in my custom UI, and the deeper you bury this, the deeper the sphere will go, or the cylinder will go. So I want it a bit deep, just a bit in the middle. And that's basically what we're looking to do. But I don't want to add it on. I want to hold Alt as I draw it. And that way, the sphere is going to become kind of a negative. Instead of an addition, it'll be a cutter. I can drop this mask, and I can go to Geometry. Let's see, under Dynamesh. So instead of just Dynameshing, I'm going to do a Create Shell. Let's set the thickness somewhat high to like 10 or 15 and see what this does. It still cares about your Dynamesh resolution, so if you're just testing, you may want to lower that. And then let's try create shell. Alright, so we can check out what the create shell did here. It did hollow it out, and the thickness being set so high to 10, it's actually very conservative for this model. So let's see what's going on the inside. Let's switch to select lasso, turn off my symmetry for a second. Just cut through a bit of this. We could go to our display options. Double side is already on. But you can see 10 is a very, very conservative thickness. It hollows it out, but leaves a lot of gaps. I think that'll work out well for us though. And at about 950,000, it's pretty good, but we've lost some resolution when Dynameshing with 500 resolution. So I'm going to undo, and I'll Dynamesh it at 1000 resolution. And I'll change the thickness from 10 to something like 8. Now let's do create shell again. Looks like it did that. So setting it to 8 just made it a bit thinner. And I think we've got enough resolution. I can Control Shift Select to tap on the inside, and now you can see just the inside part. Now it's made a few different pieces that are just floating or very thin, so we want to toss those. Easiest way that I found is to just select the pieces that you want to keep. Uh-oh. There we go. I'm going to keep all of this stuff. But I'm going to delete these little floating bits. So I'll invert the selection now, and I'll go to Geometry, Delete Hidden. I can also go to this area, the inside, and we've got a lot of stair stepping that automatically generates from ZBrush's auto create shell. So I just want to smooth that out. I'm going to press Shift and then just smooth it out. Don't want any unnecessary detail on the inside, because that'll just be more supports that get created for the Form 2 that I'm going to print it on. Now this end, this nubby end is a bit sharp, so I'm going to just clip it. Let's smooth out some of this detail in the back. Alright, that should be clean enough. Press Control Shift, and now I can Dynamesh it again. Whoop. Not a 500 resolution. Let's see. I'll just come in and just tap smooth over here. Alright, so we've done two things now. We've hollowed the inside, and we've got a space for something to key into. I might refine this key a bit more. And then let's work on the base that this character is going to float on. Might print that in clear and then have it kind of feel like a fog. Okay. Turn off symmetry when I check that. There we go. So there's our hollowed mesh. That's how you go about hollowing in ZBrush. Save this file again, Quark 2. Here's the quick drawing that I did for how I wanted the base to be. Kind of like a jet stream that he's bouncing off of, but kind of propelled, you know, self-propelled. So this will be basically just a bunch of insert mesh spheres that create the shape of smoke, and this will be the main mount that it's up on. So let's start making that. Let's see, what's the easiest way to do this? Might start with a cylinder that I can append. Tap move on it, make that a bit longer, and go to deformation, size, shrink that down. Then move it up again. And let's move it into place. Now that I've got it relatively where I want it, I can just dynamesh it. Start sculpting. In my inflate brush, make the ends of that stream a bit smaller. Fit that in. Not too worried about being super precise just yet. Trying to find the shape that I want. And then let's inflate the bottom up. And I can do this at even a lower resolution. 128 might be a bit high. There we go. It's like really janky, crappy resolution because what we're looking at is just the silhouette of the shape right now. Trying to make it look good from all angles. And clip the bottom. Try inflating the whole thing. Just play around and see what the shapes we like. Let's go to geometry, modify topology, and we can mirror and weld over to the other side. Looks like it won't do that, so I'm going to go to, because I think mirror and weld works from left to right only. Let's try alt clicking. Nope, that doesn't work either. So I'm going to go to try a different technique, subtool master and mirror on the x-axis. There we go. Mirrored that over. I'll merge down and combine the two streams. And I'm going to keep working on them. That's the basic of the jet stream. And let's add some of the clouds at the bottom as well. May want this to be a bit higher in scene, but since Logan in this other scene is kind of hunched over, I don't know if I want the Quark character to be way too high, like up here. Maybe like a bit more eye level would look good. Make sure I have symmetry turned on when I'm sculpting now. And kind of looks like stilts that he's on. You can see how small I keep this stuff in my scene sometimes. Because when you're looking at the silhouette, you should only be looking at the silhouette, not the topology, just the flow of things. Alright, let's make this, let's add some spheres to this so it doesn't feel so stilt-like. That's half spheres. I want full spheres. There. Alright, like that. Now I don't want to do this symmetrically because then it'll look weird. So I'm just going to start turning off my symmetry. Just adding a bunch of random size spheres. Might adjust the depth of these as well, so they feel more buried into each other. And you want to do a little, size change up as you go. You don't want them all feeling the exact same. Maybe smaller ones up at the top to simulate smoke. And do it a bit randomly, Nice and thick base, and make sure we're hitting it from all the angles. And filling in any gaps that we see. You can also just now try to clip here and there, because this will be flat. Just clip down. See what that's looking like. Now I've got too much coming forward and not enough backwards, which is okay because it's kind of like he's taken off this way. So more pressure would be up in the front than the back. We just gotta keep messing around with this until we get it feeling the way we want. May want to lower the depth and add some more on here as well. And remember to just, change up the size. No fun if they all look the same. And that's also not a good simulation of reality. Reality is really random. So you got to be random with your strokes. Now if you do too much of it, it's going to look a bit weird. It's going to look more bubbly. But let's try something right now. I'm just going to do this, and let's duplicate this so we have a backup. I could separate out these guys, split hidden, duplicate these as well, and let's try dynameshing all of this stuff. You know what, let's try dynameshing it into the base as well. Try both ways. Make this resolution of 100, Dynamesh. Just smooth out. Smoothing it all out. It gets rid of those really nice creases that we liked, which created the feel of fog. So one thing I could do is just start going in here and tapping inflate, seeing how that helps. It makes it feel like smoke again, because then you'll get those nice creases back. More asymmetry, more randomness, more creases, and smooth again. And we can clip the bottom again. That's the first pass at a base. Just to take a look at it. I like the silhouette of it. I think it's a good balance from a lot of different angles. It definitely won't fall because, you know, even if there's some weight up here, there's a lot more weight down here. Let's inflate some of those. Make sure we get it all the right height. Go into my trim adaptive brush as well, TA, and just tap to make sure all of it's the same base. Now the small ones actually just end up looking a bit more confusing than helping, is what I'm gathering. They look a bit more diseased than like clouds. So I think I just want nice big poofy ones. Kind of like my original concept suggested. Just big round poofy ones. Don't need to worry with the smaller ones. So that was a good test. Go back to these guys and I can kind of start getting rid of the small ones. Let's save again. And let me also double check if you guys have been asking any questions on Twitch or Facebook. Alright. Femi saying hi from Tunisia. What's up, man? It's 6 p.m. there. Nice. So it's morning here for me in LA. It's almost 9 a.m. now. Huangsta, it was good seeing you at Decon. Good to see you too, Huangsta. I'm not sure who you are based on your username, but I'm sure it was a good time. Thanks for stopping by the booth if that's what you did. Let's see. Shonik saying I didn't hit enter when changing the resolution still at 500. Thank you, Shonik. I kind of figured that's what happened. It looked a bit low res. Alright, Kabawaki saying, yeah, so that's why I'm updating my Mold 3D classes, because ZBrush released new tools. With the ZBrush Summit that just came out, there was even more updates. So I'm basically waiting for some of these updates to kick in so that I can update the class, because I have to update it every year or so to keep it you know, relevant for you guys, because these are techniques for 3D printing, going from ZBrush to 3D printing. For any kind of, I want to be able to have the same character go to print for SLA, FDM, color, to teach you about hollowing, articulation, but then also maybe make like molding and casting and squeezies. So that's what the next class is going to be all about, is just a lot of same character taking a lot of different endpoints. Alright, Christian Migas is asking a question, how can I set my memory to avoid crashing if I have an Intel Core i7? Not really sure about that. I believe that in ZBrush there's a section here under preferences for your memory, but I think this is specific to how many undos you can do. So if you set this to low, that's better. If you set it really high, you're going to get more crashes because ZBrush is remembering a lot more things. But you can compact your memory. I think that might help with the crashing. So that's under preferences and memory. All right, sweet. Sweet. All right, great. Let me move my screen out of the way and we'll continue making this base. Alright, so like I said, I don't really like any of the small ones right now. So let's just try making the nice big poofy ones. They're all on their own polygroup, so this should be relatively easy. I can just duplicate this. And I can hide the ones that I don't want. Now some of them might share polygroups, so just to avoid that, I'm going to auto groups. So make sure they're all separate. So I'll go to polygroups, auto groups, and then just control tap, invert, and then hide away these small ones. Want to click on the poly itself, not an edge. Sometimes you have to click a few times. The thing with smoke is that it doesn't actually go from big to small, it goes from small to big. That's why this doesn't feel right. The smaller bits will be on the inside and the outside would be mostly larger bits. Might redo some of these as well. There we go. Alright, so we hid most of them, the small ones. Weird stuff happening with that one, so I'll hide that as well. Yep, that looks good. Alright, I'm going to go to now delete hidden. Tap that. That's at the bottom of my screen. I've got a custom UI here. For most of you, that's going to be under geometry, modify topology, and then delete hidden. Alright, so that's looking good. Let's turn on these legs. Split hidden again. So now we've got the legs and we've got these spheres. It just feels more smoke-like when you don't have those little bits. But always worth trying. Never be afraid to try this stuff. Clip the bottom again. Go back to my insert primitives. Let's draw some more. I'm trying to find the gaps and filling those. First, moving some pieces around. I think it looks good if there's some smaller ones clustered around the beginning of the stream. So trying that out. And then they get bigger as they go lower and further out. So some of these that are the furthest out should be the largest. I'm make sure I'm doing this from the right angle. And clipping again. That feels a lot more fun and a lot more like smoke now. That one's a bit large.